Hello and welcome to the next episode. These episodes are based on my life and experiences in Korean and Korean American culture, as well as the writings that I do on my website. To read those, you can go to WaygookinWay.com. That is WaygookinWay.com. You can join people in over 50 countries in reading my blog posts. You can also follow me on social media. The links are in the description box down below. So today, the topic is going to be more of an editorial. And it's based on a few conversations that I've had with a businesswoman in Korea. So today we're talking about just the future of Korea when it comes to economics and jobs and things of that nature. So even though that's a heavy topic and it can be a long topic, I'm going to make it as short as possible. So it does become a question of what future does Korea have in the global workforce as currently constructed. Now there have been some that are saying that Korea is trying to get out of a recession. It won't take something like the miracle on the Han River in order to get things going as well as it could go for Korea. So, for those of you who don't know what that means, the miracle on the Han River was the resurgence in the Korean economy back in the late 90s period, around that time when everything was booming in Korea. Korea has had some setbacks, and certainly the scandals with Samsung have not helped out at all, and neither has the political instability that has happened in Korea. So this isn't going to be addressing those topics. Those are topics for somebody else to go more in depth on. But right now, with the Republic of Korea, there definitely will be some concerns about the future because China is opening up more. And China could potentially provide a cheaper option for a number of companies. Also, companies that can get into China, there's over 1 billion people that have not heard about your product or seen it unless they've traveled outside of China. And if you can get in early, then you can possibly establish brand loyalty amongst people in China, and that could lead to a ton of money. So jobs and industries that were trying to go to South Korea may not go to South Korea in the future. So what could Korea do to help better its chances is really the question here. And really, one of the biggest problems that I think a lot of companies have is just the inability to get qualified workers that will work in Korea. And so this is what that is referring to. When it comes to being in Korea, the job of the government, of course, is to make sure that its citizens have jobs. And so the laws are set up to give Korean workers an advantage. But that has led to a number of issues, especially when you have international companies that need to communicate with people in other countries via the English language. Now, many of you who have tried to move to Korea, you may be familiar with the fact that there are a ton of openings for Korean teachers. Even that's kind of a strange subject in and of itself because some are saying that the demand for English teachers is going to go down over time as Chinese becomes more of an important global language, and because Chinese is culturally way more important to Koreans than English ever will be. So there's been some that have said there have been some cutbacks as far as English teachers and even in the salaries that some have gotten. I'm not too sure about that, but I have heard that from people in Korea, and I'll do some more research on that. But a number of people have said that the process of teaching English in Korea has not worked out well at all. And so, for those that are wondering what are the requirements to teach English in South Korea, you need to have a bachelor's degree and you need to have a certificate either teaching English as a foreign language or teaching English as a second language to others certificate. Even that is kind of a complicated process for some because there are colleges that are designed for people who want to teach English only. And those colleges, the cost to get your certificate and your degree is around $4,000 to $5,000, and you could do all of that within a year. Whereas if you are going to a four-year university, it's going to cost you a ton of money, a lot more. Some universities are over $100,000 for a typical four-year degree. And so what has ended up happening is, in order to say that people can speak English, people have sometimes been rushed through English language programs, and it is not teaching English effectively at all. And even some of the teachers are not very effective. So I remember talking to a friend who was talking about her experience talking to a Korean person who teaches English in South Korea. And this English teacher couldn't really speak English. And from what I'm finding out, that sometimes is a common thing. And that's sometimes why you have language companies that are constantly hiring and looking for more and more workers, because people are taught enough to be able to pass a test that say they can speak English, but they really cannot speak any English, which is why companies are willing to pay a lot of money for people to come in and teach employees English. So if you look, I believe around the Gangnam area, there are some ads you'll find for a person to come in and help tutor English for an hour at a time. And the fee that companies will pay is about $50 an hour, which is a lot of money for 1 hour's worth of work. And if you could actually average that and work for a regular basis, then you would be making some really good money. But the issue when it comes to business people learning English is that it's people teaching English. Sometimes they are from an English-speaking country, but the main thing that Korea tends to focus on is what school did you go to, not what experience do you have. So to put it in an example for you, if I was going to open up a Korean restaurant, one of the things I would need, of course, is a good cook. But there's a difference between someone who's been in the kitchen and can cook in an American restaurant, American style, and someone who can prepare Korean cuisine. The most important thing in that situation is that I have a cook that actually knows how to cook Korean food. And so how does this tie into business English? The people who are qualified most to teach business level English and give you role plays for English situations are people who have actually had businesses in English. Either they've owned a business or they've managed a business for someone. Unfortunately, in Korea, that doesn't matter. It's more, you went to this university, therefore you're obviously qualified, so people will send you over. And so you have people that, especially now with the younger generation, that are used to abbreviating words and things like that. It's led to Korean people, unfortunately, who can speak English pretty okay. But when it comes to written English, there have been times I've gotten official emails from people and it says HOW space letter R space letter U space DOIN question mark. If I wrote that in a business email, that would end the business relationship I would have with anybody. And that's kind of the issue that Korea is facing now and is going to face in the future. And it's something where many people say the more experience you have, the less valuable you can be in Korea. So you hear about the pressures to get into Sky Universities, the top 3 universities in Korea, so you can get a good high paying job. And there's more and more stories about older people who are getting paid less money even though they have experience and can come in right away and help out a company just because companies want that new recruit that is fresh out of college, especially one of the top universities in Korea. So it's just going to create more and more of an issue for a lot of people. And then, as far as sponsoring a work visa, that process is difficult on purpose. One, to protect the Korean economy, but two, to protect workers. That way, you don't have people moving to Korea thinking they have a job and they don't, or they're thinking they're working for a company and the company isn't actually not very stable. So, it is a difficult process to get a work visa sponsored by a company in Korea. But as far as who's getting sponsored, again, sometimes it's more about where you went to school than it is about how good you are at your job. For those of you who are in Korea and are wondering about that, about what goes on at US colleges, it's probably not as serious of an environment as you think. In fact, there are some companies in the United States that will not hire people who have graduated from four-year universities because they've had too many problems with them being late to work, being hungover, being on drugs, because it's said that a lot of college campuses there is more emphasis on partying, drinking, and drug abuse than anything else. As a matter of fact, you can probably Google top party universities in the United States and you would get a list of some universities that some Koreans might feel are prominent universities. So definitely part of the reason for it being so difficult to get into Korea for work is they want to keep out people that have issues with drugs, people who have issues with alcohol or violent activities. And unfortunately, these are sometimes the exact people that are being let in just because they have a degree from a certain university. So, more needs to be done in order to help people get into Korea, but also more needs to be done to make sure that the people getting in are qualified, not just people who have some form of a degree that says that they essentially paid $100,000 to get this. So, if China does open up more, if Japan does make things easier, you're going to see more jobs going to those countries than South Korea. And so that's why some small business people are worried about the future of Korea. Hopefully, things will change. Hopefully, things will improve for the better. And hopefully, people who really are qualified and have experience and can help out companies right away will get more of a break instead of it being just somebody who's new and doesn't know exactly what they're doing. Think about it from a company standpoint too. What's going to be cheaper for you? Is it cheaper for you to hire one person who will help you permanently, or is it going to be cheaper for you to have to hire and go through a training process every 2 months because you keep hiring the wrong people who can't help you with your job? So, Korea, in trying to do the right thing by some people, is actually hurting themselves, and hopefully that's something that'll change soon. But what are your views, especially if you are in Korea? Because there's a lot of people that I'm meeting from Korea that are not comfortable with their English unless they've lived in another country. How is the Korean education system doing? How good of a job are they doing teaching English? Is it really something that's going to help Korea compete in the future? Or is Korea going to have more problems, and are you going to see more and more jobs going to other countries that are going to make it easier for a company to bring in workers that can help out right away? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please share the video if you think it'll be necessary. If it be beneficial to somebody else or necessary for someone else to see. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me contact@WaygookinWay.com. That's contact at WaygookinWay.com. That email address and the link to my social media is down below. So definitely like, comment, subscribe. Thanks. I'll see you in the next episode. And as always, remember, the best way to get rid of your nightmares is to do your best to live out your dreams. Goodbye.